Hello everyone and welcome back to my minimalist cooking videos. Today I have another classic Chinese American dish that everyone loves, sweet and sour chicken. Without further ado, let's get started. We will begin by preparing our chicken. Today I'm using chicken breasts. Start by removing the skin and cutting it into pieces. Chicken thighs work great for this recipe, as well as tofu, shrimp, or pork. I'm going to start by cutting the chicken down the center into 2 large pieces. From here, I will cut them into bite-sized pieces. I'm going for 1 inch by 1 inch square, but your chicken can be slightly bigger or slightly smaller, it doesn't matter. The most important part is that they're all the same size. When we go to cook it, we want to make sure that all the chicken is cooked completely at the same time, therefore it's just important to have one size and stick to it. Go ahead and cut the second piece of chicken, if you have it, into bite-sized pieces and place it into a bowl so we can get it ready to be marinated. The first ingredient in the marinade is salt. Apply a little bit of salt over each piece of chicken, but not too much at this point. Remember, we will be adding soy sauce to the marinade in just a moment, which is quite salty on its own. You do not want to over-season at this point. You can always add a little more salt later if you desire. Next is soy sauce. Sprinkle a little soy sauce over each piece. The final ingredient in the marinade is sesame oil. This has a rather strong flavor, so do not overdo it. You're looking to add that nice, rich, nutty flavor to the chicken. After you complete the marinade, make sure to massage it in the chicken to get equal coverage. Once it's thoroughly mixed, cover it with a piece of plastic wrap and place it into the fridge for at least half an hour to marinate before cooking. Excellent. Now we'll make the sweet and sour sauce. We begin by adding 4 tablespoons of sugar to a pan. Here I'm using Demerara sugar, however you can use brown sugar or white sugar, it will not matter. I prefer to make my sweet and sour sauce before I fry the chicken because that's a little easier for the small kitchen that I have. Equally, you can certainly prepare this after you're done frying the chicken. Next ingredient in the sauce is white vinegar. You'll add 5 tablespoons to the pot. If you prefer to have a little less tangy sauce overall, you can add 4. If you like it a really, really tangy sauce, go ahead and add 6. It's up to you. And tomato ketchup. We will add 3 tablespoons. This is where the red color in the sauce comes from. However, many restaurants add some red food coloring to theirs to make it really, really bright red. 1 tablespoon of water goes in, followed by our last ingredient, 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. In order to thicken the sauce, we will be making a cornstarch slurry. Add 3 tablespoons of water to a cup and 2 tablespoons of corn flour or cornstarch. Make sure to mix it really, really well so that it's completely dissolved. We'll set this aside for later. On medium heat, we're going to go ahead and gently heat the sauce, stirring constantly to break up all the ketchup and make sure everything is thoroughly mixed. Once the sauce begins to bubble slightly, as you can see here, it's time to go ahead and add our cornstarch slurry. Make sure to mix it well again before adding so there aren't any lumps. I like to start by adding 1 or 2 tablespoons of the entire mixture, stirring it and then seeing what the consistency is. Remember that it's a lot easier to add a little more thickener at this point than it is to over thicken your sauce and try to thin it out later. Be sure to continuously mix the sauce after adding the thickener so that there aren't any lumps. You want to make sure that everything is integrated really well and that everything has an even consistency. You're looking for about the thickness of warm maple syrup. This looks really good right here. I'm going to go ahead and set it aside so I can move on to frying my chicken. The first thing you want to do is get your oil on so that it can come up to temperature. Here I'm going to use soybean oil. You can use vegetable oil, peanut oil, soybean oil, any high temperature oil will work. The only oils you want to avoid would be sesame oil or olive oil, something with a very low smoke point. Make sure that when you're placing your oil into the pan, never to fill it more than halfway full. This is very important for your safety. With my oil getting up to temperature, I'm going to go ahead and start making the tempura mix. Here I'm using a packaged tempura batter mix, which is simply a pre-mixture of all the listed ingredients on the recipe. If you are following the included recipe, there is absolutely no difference. You'll simply add the items on the recipe to a bowl and mix them all together. There's no sequence. To these dry ingredients, we'll be adding chilled club soda. The carbonation in the club soda actually makes for a lighter, crispier batter. If you chill it, it will actually work a little bit better than having it at room temperature. That's why we're making this right before we want to fry and not holding it for too long. Add your chilled club soda little by little, mixing in between until you get the consistency that you're looking for. Overall, you want the batter to come together and resemble a loose pancake batter, not too thick, not too thin. You want it to coat each piece of chicken evenly and thoroughly, but not be so thick that it's really gummy and chewy once it's fried. With our batter ready and our oil up to temperature, we're going to go ahead and place the chicken into the batter and thoroughly mix it so that every piece gets equally covered. Your oil should be at about 350 degrees Fahrenheit. If you don't have a thermometer like me, an easy way to check the temperature is to drop a few little droplets of the batter into the oil. If it begins to bubble immediately and rise to the surface, you know it's ready. Begin by placing half the pieces of chicken into the oil one by one, making sure not to splash the oil as you place it in. It is very important not to overcrowd your pan by placing too much chicken in at once. If you do that, the temperature of the oil will drop dramatically and result in a rather soggy, oily piece of fried chicken. As you can see, I'm placing each piece in individually with enough space around it so that it doesn't stick to its neighbor. This only is an issue for the first 30 to 45 seconds of it frying until it can form that nice crispy exterior shell. After the chicken pieces have been placed in the oil, allow them to cook for roughly 2 to 3 minutes per side. Depends on the size of your piece, but after about 2 to 3 minutes, you'll see that one side has become slightly brown, and you know it's ready to flip. As the chicken is cooking, go ahead and stir it every few seconds to make sure that it cooks evenly. After 5 to 6 minutes of total cooking time, we're going to go ahead and pull the chicken out. It's crispy, but not too dark brown just yet. Don't worry, we're going to go ahead and address this here shortly. Pull the remaining chicken out onto some paper towels so that it can drain. And place the other half of your uncooked chicken into the oil so that it can fry just like you did for the first batch. After your second batch of chicken comes out, allow it to sit at room temperature for about 3 to 5 minutes. After that, you're actually going to double fry the chicken. Simply place the cooked chicken back into the oil. At this point, since the chicken is so hot and you're just going to be flash frying them for a second round, you don't have to worry about overcrowding. All the chicken can go back in. This second round of frying will only last for 1, maximum 2 minutes. What this does is create an extremely crispy, crunchy chicken with a nice, deep, rich brown color. Notice how the chicken is now a nice, dark, rich brown color instead of the slightly tan color it was before. By doing 2 rounds of frying, you will go ahead and make an extremely crispy and crunchy exterior without overcooking the chicken on the inside. This is very important if you plan on tossing your chicken in your sweet and sour sauce. This will help it stay nice and crisp even while it's covered in sauce. All there is left to do is serve it up and eat. You can do one of 2 methods of serving. Place the chicken onto a plate and serve the sweet and sour sauce on the side. This will keep the chicken extremely crispy and crunchy for a little bit longer than tossing it into the sauce. The other way to serve the chicken is by tossing it directly in the sauce. Simply take some of the sauce and pour it over the fried chicken and toss to coat evenly. This recipe ended up making 2 extremely generous portions or 3 normal-sized portions. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to our channel for more videos just like this. Thank you so much!